can you tell us about how you guys have gone through the week in terms of availability?
Availability is exactly the same as last week. Everybody's come through. A few little bumps and bruises at the start of the week, but everybody's trained since then, so we're all okay. The only one out is Nikola Petkovic. He damaged his knee about 10 days ago, so he'll be out for 3 or 4 weeks.
In terms of this game, does it kind of help you having that confidence off of New England to get you ready for this, or do you feel like just seeing this opponent would get you ready regardless?
I'll tell you Sunday. But no, I think because of the opposition anyway, I think everybody's going to be ready for it. We was for the home leg. Everybody can see how well they're doing. Everybody appears to want to play against them. And we're no different. We're looking forward to it.
In terms of the tactics, do you think like you unlocked something that was specific to that game, or do you feel like that could be a formula in multiple games and even as soon as this weekend?
I don't think we've strayed away too far from what we want to be at times. There'll be small tactical adjustments for different teams that you play, obviously, and there'll probably be a slight tactical adjustment for Miami as there was to New England. So there's different personnel in both teams, there's different styles in both teams as well, so we have to adjust, but as I always say to you, 80% of it is going to be about what we do rather than the opposition.
Nathan saw a lot of free run down that right side, got himself a new contract as well, so what does it mean to kind of have a player like that who you can give that kind of freedom to?
I think the thing with Nathan Byrne is he's been reliable throughout the season. More often than not, there's been a 7 out of 10. Very rarely does he drop below that, and if he does, it's an outlier. He's been very consistent for us, and we like that. I thought the last game he showed more of his offensive potential of what he can bring, and I want to see more of that from him.
I know Carroll didn't get the goal that you might have wanted to see from him, but what did you notice from him in the way that he played against New England? Did it seem different than the way he played since he's been back?
I thought he kept the ball around him really well. When the ball went up there wasn't too often the defenders came away with it. He either, kept the ball around him, he either won a free kick, or he lent the ball to somebody else. So I was pleased. Physically, again, he's getting better each week. He still wants to score goals. We still want him to score goals. But I thought Saturday for him was a step in the right direction.
I know that the easiest answer to this is lots of goals and lots of assists, but what do you have to see from Pep Biel to have you convinced that he's here beyond this season?
Well, I think I said to you before, there's no doubt in the ability he's got. Technically very gifted. Tactically, he understands the game really well. Physically, he can compete at this level. And it's the mentality one for me. He's coming to a new team, a new league, and it does take some adjustment at times. I keep talking to him about his work without the ball, and I thought that was a lot better on Saturday against New England.
And lastly, will the weather affect y'all's travel any, or how are you guys navigating that potential?
I'm not a meteorologist, so I don't bother looking. If I'm told we're flying, we get on the plane. If I'm told we're not, we don't. But we'll do everything as per normal, as if we're travelling as normal.
You talked about last week that you guys needed a win, not so much for standings, but for psyche, for mentality, to give everybody a jolt. A 4-0 win. And I know you've had a chance to look at it. Have you seen the jolt kind of infuse since you guys have been back since that game?
I think it's took a lot of weight off a few of the players' minds, and we had a few players, and I spoke about this before, who I thought were out of a little bit of form, and Saturday they went and played themselves into form, and that can happen very quickly in football. Watching it back, we deserved a 4-0 win. I thought we played well. We started the game well, scored some good goals. They had the one big chance where I actually think it's offside when I look back at it, but Callie has to make a really good save. So I'm not sure it would have stood, but it was a good performance all round from the players, and they can take a lot from that.
And as they take a lot, how do they take from that game and apply it in training and into the weekend?
Well, the standards is something that I've spoke about all the time. Make sure you maintain standards, and then, hopefully new players come in, improve us and push them standards forward. And that's what I'm wanting to see and hoping to see after the performance last week.
You talked about the adjustments that players have to make. You were even talking about Pep here a minute ago and getting acclimated and everything, and all the movement that happened at the window and all the fresh faces that came in. You didn't get the results the first 3 out of the break, but with this past week and moving forward, are you starting to see everything starting to, guys blending together and getting?
We've had a really good couple of days training. Last 2 days have been, pretty tactical in terms of what we're going to try and do the weekend, and it's worked really well. I've seen relationships starting to build and starting to blossom, and what they have to go and do now is take that into a game and prove it in a game.
Right.
You mentioned Nathan Byrne offensively last weekend. On the other side, you had Tim Green. What have you noticed, differences in that position comparing Ronan and Tim Green? What are the things that you're seeing between both of them?
Well, I just felt that the previous couple of games that they hadn't been to what the standard had been all season. It's a long season, as we know. We've been building up in a 3 as well, and I just felt it would probably fit with us to get Privs back into the team, who was unfortunate not to be in the team anyway. And with the quality that Tim's got on the ball as well, he can see the middle of the pitch and he can see the other side of the pitch really well. And I thought he set up a lot of attacks for us last week.
Nice. And then we've seen Pep Biel centrally and on the right. Where do you see him right now? Where are you liking him more?
I thought he found real good pockets of space at the weekend, in between their full-back and the centre-back, and caused problems being there. So, he can play as a 10 and he can play on the side as well. But, the way we've been building at the moment, we wanting to take up the pockets of space where he's going to cause the opposition problems, and he did that really well last week, and hopefully he can do it again this week.
Thank you.
Cheers.
It's been a while since you had a shutout, Dean. What did you feel was missing in the defensive performances in that sort of slow streak for you?
We'd given some goals away that probably weren't us. Quite a few individual mistakes. I mean, you look at the 2 against Montreal, and one was a header back. We've been unfortunate as well. A couple of deflections have gone in as well over the top of our goalkeeper. So it's a hard thing to do, keeping clean sheets. We've been very good at it this season. I just felt we'd probably lost that. We had to reflect and revisit getting back behind the ball when we lost it. I just felt that the game got too stretched, and we're better when we get back behind the ball quickly and make the team go backwards.
Seems like Christian is one of those guys that maybe isn't getting the love that some get for goalkeeper of the year. What have you seen from him this year, and do you think he should be a guy that should be talked about in that way?
I look at throughout the league, and there's not many other goalkeepers I'd want. He makes good saves look easy. He does what his job is on the tin. He'll make saves that I believe he should make, and then all of a sudden he'll pull one out, like at Montreal from the free kick, and tip one over the bar. So he's been really exceptional this season. But I always look at a goalkeeper and see what the back four and their relationship is with him, and he makes them feel secure, and I like that, and I think it's what a goalkeeper should bring.
What did you learn about your team this last weekend? Because it was something like 1 win in 11 games. Maybe over the course of that entire time, what did you learn about this?
Yeah, we're not including the League's Cup, are we? I don't include that.
Sadly, we might have to.
Yeah, I don't include that. So, yeah. But no, I mean, I felt that we were struggling to find some rhythm. But I've seen a lot of teams since the League's Cup struggle to find rhythm. There's been a lot of scrappy games that I've seen, and our games that we'd played since that break, I felt we've been as close to winning them as we have losing them. There's not been much between all the teams that we've played. That first goal has been a big changer. So that first goal, getting that on Saturday, was a big thing for us.
Who does Pat Ajiman remind you of that you've worked with in the past or that you've seen? Is there a specific player?
I suppose the one that you go to straight away is Tammy Abraham. Tammy's probably technically better. He's technically better. Patrick's still working on his game. His tactical understanding is still working on it. But he's one that you look at and you won't want to play against. He's a handful. And he's played through the pain barrier the last couple of weeks because he dislocated his toe, 2 or 3 weeks ago. And I thought, his subs appearance last week was immense.
Last one from me. Any manager, Lionel Messi, how do you approach that challenge?
Very difficult. There's a lot of people before me have tried. Usually in this league have failed. So it's going to be tough. But we can't just concentrate on the one man. We know that he can be a game changer, and we've got to be aware of him. But there are other players on the pitch that can score as well.
All right, we'll move to virtual. Let's go, Carol.
Hey Dean, sorry I wasn't braving the rain today.
No, it's not like you, Carol. I thought you would have been here fighting them puddles.
Well, all these other guys made me look bad. They're all there, so way to go. So did you give Tim Ream a bottle of wine? Have you kept up on your payments?
They will get them. Don't worry. He hasn't had it yet, but they will.
Okay. Last week you talked about making runs and guys needing to trust in their teammates. A lot of the goals on Saturday were assisted. Did you start to see more of that depending on each other instead of doing things individually?
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I've been moaning to the players about is the lack of deep runs. A lot of the teams in this league play a high line, and you're going to have to make deep runs to get in behind them, or even take the line back so you can play in front of them. And I thought there was a lot of selfless runs last week, which was really pleasing. And the players have certainly taken that on board.
So did you say Patrick dislocated his toe?
He did dislocate his toe, yeah. It wasn't me who put it back in, don't worry about that.
I think there's probably a school of people who would like to see him start, and that he suits your style. But I think, if I read you right, Carroll's your starter. But how do you think the two of them should work? I mean, you feel like both of them should be equal weapons for you? Or?
Yeah, I mean, I think they're challenging, and it's a good position for us to be in when we've got, Carroll and Patrick, who are starting to get into their right form at the right moments. We're coming towards the end of the season to try and qualify for the playoffs, and if you get to the playoffs and you've got two players like that who are vying for the number 9 position, that's only good for me, because I can make a decision who starts, and then if they're not performing, or they're not or they haven't had any chances, then I can put the other one on. I think they're both a threat, and for different reasons, to be honest.
So I was putting words in your mouth. Who do you see as the starter then in your mind?
I think you know me by now, Carol. You're not going to get that answer. Good try, though.
Well, and you mentioned Carroll physically having a better game. Was there another side that you were mentally, were you going to say something else, or?
No, I just felt that he kept the ball around him really well last week, and it impressed me. His build-up play and bringing others into play was really good, and you need that sometimes. There'll be moments in a game when you're under a little bit of pressure, and when the defenders, clear it, you want your centre forward to be keeping the ball around them, and he did that really well last week.
Okay, thank you. Cheers.
Thanks, Carol.
All right, Steve.
Hi, Dee. Just wanted to follow up on a couple of things. Like with Miami, this team has played them 3 times already. They've beaten them once. But do you still feel, when you have like the Barcelona Beach Boys like that, is there still any feeling?
The what? Barcelona Beach Boys?
Yeah.
Okay.
The collection they've got there. Is there any sense of intimidation? I mean, did you ever experience that when you were at Villa, going up against a Man City or a Liverpool?
No, I think you respect every team that you're going to go and play against, but you don't fear them, and there'll be no fear for us going to Miami. We respect who they are, what they're doing, the points total they've gathered so far, but we know how close the game was at the Bank of America, and we should have taken something out of that game, and was disappointed that we didn't. So, we'll be going there with no fear and but full of respect.
Yeah, and last year they did beat them here with Messi playing a full 90, so there's no newness to it with that. And such. And going back to what you said about Kalina, and is Christian, do you find him to be a good communicator in talking to his defense and giving them, what he sees that they may not see, when they're...
I think he's a good communicator in general. I mean, he's very much a part of the leadership group, and when we're in this learning zone and doing reviews of games or previewing the next game, he's certainly full of ideas, and he's not afraid to talk, and which is what I want from players. And he's proven already this season that he's been a really good leader.
And do you find that like his ability as a shot stopper and such, does that give the defenders a bit more spirit in going out and taking a challenge that they might not if they had any question about the man behind them?
I think the good thing as a defender, I'm a former defender myself, when a goalkeeper makes saves that he should, you feel a lot more secure. And his communication is quite clear. If he's not coming, he'll tell you away, and the defenders know that they've got to go and deal with it. And I think that clear communication is a big thing for me.
Yeah, because I've also found that when you have that confidence in the man behind you, you can take more chances, you can be more aggressive, you can be more effective. When you don't have any worries behind you.
Yeah, I think Christian will also say, though, that the defenders have protected him really well as well. There's not too many times that too many players get through and see the whites of his eyes and a 1v1 against him. So I'm pleased that the back four have been, as good as Christian has been as well, and they protect each other.
And just going back to the defensive lineup, getting Andrew back in there that you had this past week, was that a tactic for that particular game, or is that something that you're looking at to just be more of the identity of what you've got?
No, that was something that we looked at for that game. We felt that it would work. We felt we didn't need Tim to be going up and down that left-hand side. We could build with the three. He could pass and support rather than pass and overlap or underlap. And we knew that he would find passes in the middle of the pitch as well, which we thought could hurt them by going to the opposite side of the pitch.
Is that something that you think will work against Miami as well?
Not so sure, but that's something we'll look at.
Because it definitely, with Tim there being a little more stay-at-home, it opens up more opportunities for Nathan.
Yeah, I think Nathan's natural game is to enjoy, getting forward. I think he's good at that. So we've looked at both. I mean, the weeks before that, I think they got a lot higher than Nathan. Nathan was a little bit deeper. We just decided to change it for last week.
Yeah, because I've seen where other teams have tried, knowing Nathan's going to go forward, they look to exploit that. So it does provide cover.
It does, but Melander gives a lot of cover for when Nathan does go.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Steve.
All right, let's go Sam and then in with Danny.
Coach, hope you're doing well and staying warm. I wanted to know, this is the first match, I think, where the team has playoff clinching scenarios and Wall. Obviously, I know your mentality is to only look at the game ahead of you. How would it affect, your ability to coach the team, do lineups, prepare for the playoffs going forward? If you knew you won this game against Miami and the other things that need to happen, and you know that you're in.
It wouldn't matter at all for the rest of the games, to be honest. We'll just take them as they are. The regular season's got 4 games left, and we'll try and win every one of them. If we get in the playoffs tomorrow night, or Saturday night, or whether it be Wednesday night or the following Saturday, I don't care. As long as we get there, our job is to try and take some momentum into that when we get there as well.
You've got 30 games or 30 league matches under your belt now. If you could describe the season in a word or a phrase or a mentality, what do you think it is? And if it's togetherness, what's the other thing you think it is?
It's been intriguing. It's been different from what I've been used to be honest. But I think you get used to the travel. I was told from the start that the travel will be different and it's tough to get points away. I think we've been all right away for the majority of the season. I think we busted that myth quite early. And I think that's something that you have to do. For me, there's a mentality to playing in this league that you have to have. There's going to be some games that become a little bit basketballish. I don't like that. I prefer to have more control, whether it's with the ball or without the ball. And when I feel we have control of them games, I feel we do a lot better.
How do you feel about where the different lines are at this point in the season? The front line versus the back line versus the midfield.
What do you mean by that? Sorry, Sam.
No, just like is the back line where you want it to be? Is the midfield where you want it to be, etc.?
No, I think there's still work to be done on all of it. I think our defensive line has been very good this season. But our defensive shape has been good at times this season. I think probably the last month we've gone away from it a little bit and we've got back to it again. When we lose the ball, try and win it back as quick as you can. If we can't win it back, then we get back into a shape and wait for our pressing triggers. And I've said many times before that we've got players that when we win the ball back need grass to run into, and when they do that, they can be a real threat. So that's something that we've continuously worked at.
And then finally, your cousin Will once famously sung that he was very excited to go to Miami. Do you share his sense of excitement going down there today or tomorrow?
I'm not a massive follower of Will Smith, I must admit. It's certainly his music. So was that what you was on about, Sam?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, no, not for me. I'm more of a U2 man. Stone Roses, Oasis, that sort of thing.
Well, best of luck, and hope your reunion tour is a little bit better than Liam and Knowles.
Thank you very much.
Sting is coming to the Independent Bank this year.
Who is?
Sting next year.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm. With Billy Joel.
Just got announced this morning. Let's end with Danny.
I won't be the only Englishman then. Legally alien in Charlotte, not New York. Yeah. How are you, Dan?
Hey, what's up, Dino? Are you side with Liam or you side with Noel?
They're back together. It doesn't matter who you side with now. They're back together.
You kind of have to choose one. I mean, like Noah can sing the songs when Liam's off being drunk. We saw that on MTV Unplugged. So
listen, they're both City fans, so as long as Jack Grealish gets me tickets for their concerts, I'll be all right on with the family. That's for sure.
Fantastic. Okay, so first question. I noticed on Tuesday of this week there might have been some cause for conflict inside the building because Walsall was playing Leicester in the EFL Cup. Did you and Christian Fuchs have any eyes on that game at all this week?
I did actually watch it. I watched the penalties. Walsall missed all 3 penalties. He went to penalty. It was 0-0. Danny Ward, who was the goalkeeper when I was there, he saved all 3 penalties down to his bottom right. But yeah, I mean, it was. I'd actually been contacted by the club to do a little bit for the programme and some video work. It was a little bit raw for me because obviously they wanted to talk about Craig Shakespeare as well, who had started his career at Walsall and then obviously made his name, winning the league as an assistant manager at Leicester as well. So, it was good to see, and he got a really good standing ovation, I think, on 60 minutes.
What goes through a manager's mind when you get shut out on 3 penalties in a row? That's got to be rough.
Yeah, I think it was rough for the Sads. I mean, the Walsall manager is an ex-player of mine, Matt Sadler. They're known as the Sadlers, so it's only right that a Sadler is running them at the moment. But that was tough for them. There weren't 3 great penalties, that's for sure.
So speaking of cups, I've gathered from a lot of your recent commentary, even today in this availability today, you don't seem to be a huge fan of the Leagues Cup. Is there any changes that you would suggest if they came and asked you of how to make Leagues Cup better for the MLS Liga MX?
I mean, for me, I don't like having a break in the middle of the season. I mean, I think it'd be ideal to end a pre-season and have the tournament then. Everybody's getting ready for the start of the regular season. You can start the regular season a little bit later and have that competition then, but it is in the calendar when it is, so you have to get on with it. It was a little bit weird last night watching LAFC in the US Open Cup and winning it, and we didn't have the chance to play in it. So it's a bit frustrating, some things, but listen, I'm not here when decisions are made. If anybody wants to ask for my input, come the end of the season, then I'll happily give it.
If they did a survey and said, would you like to see Leagues Cup run sort of parallel through the season, like FA Cup, EFL Cup style, would you say yes or no?
I think logistically it's difficult because the Liga MX teams, to be travelling midweek every couple of weeks up to the US, I don't know. I mean, listen, I think only they can tell me whether the crowds were up, down, or indifference. It was just my own experience. It wasn't great.
Awfully sporting of you to show that concern for the League MX teams. We really appreciate it. I have to put you on the spot here. I gotta ask you. I don't need a politician's answer. I need a football expert's answer. What was the favorite / most impressive goal of the 4 against New England?
Oh, last week. Individually, the second goal was really good in terms of Patrick's skill and setting it up for Pep. I liked the team goal, the 4th goal. I thought that was a really good bit of play and a really good finish as well from Kerwin. I've been talking about keeping his shots low, and he came over and celebrated and said, first thing he said to me was, "Yeah, you're right, keep it low." So yeah, that was a decent goal as well.
Yeah, we had that debate on our Charlotte Soccer Show podcast last night, and that 4th goal did end up winning out the debate. And that leads me right into the next question of Kerwin. How important was that for Kerwin to be taken out of the starting 11, but he comes in, scores a wonderful goal? How's his confidence now going into the final stretch of the season?
Yeah, my team talk just before the players went out to the game was, the substitute is going to be so important here because, it was an earlier kickoff, it was hot, and you knew you were going to have to make changes during the game. So they needed to be up to the speed of the game. And, I got a really good attitude and application from them all who came on, and Kerwin in particular with his goal, but his work rate as well. And Patrick, so I was pleased that the subs came on and did their job as finishers.
Excellent. So I just want to ask, this Miami match is the only of these final 4 matches of the season. Miami's the only team that looks to be in a playoff position, and then the other 3 are all teams below Charlotte FC at the table. Do you see this as a measuring stick? Is this the last chance to see where you stand against other playoff competition?
No, not really, because I think I've been consistent throughout the season. Anybody can beat anybody in this league, and we've seen that. The most consistent team has been Inter Miami, but they've already qualified for the playoffs. 3 of the teams, we're not sure whether they're all going to be competing to get into the playoffs or not, but at the moment they are, so we won't take anybody too lightly. And but Miami have been the standout team so far.
We're still building this fan culture. The club's only been around. This is the 3rd season. Last night was a great chance. I got to see you and all the other players at the season ticket members event where it was a meet and greet. What was that like for you to connect on a one-on-one level with so many fans, get to shake hands and sign autographs and take pictures and things like that?
No, it was an excellent thing, and I think the club are brilliant at these community events that they do, getting all the season ticket holders in, getting all the fans in, because they're the life and blood and life and soul of the club. Without fans, sport is not a spectacle. I've been through the COVID years in the Premier League, and they weren't very enjoyable not having fans there for sure, and the game become a little bit soulless. So they are what makes football or soccer great, and it's great to be able to reach them and speak to them last night.
Yeah, you don't need to comment on this part, but in the 2 previous years of that event happening, your predecessor did not deem it worthy of his time to show his face at the event. So it was very appreciative that you were there making that connection. Final question. Another person I saw at the season ticket event last night was Zoran Cornetta, and I said, Zoran, are we going to extend Christian Kalina or what? And he said, stay tuned. How much easier would it make your job going into next year to get Christian Kalina extended to be back, for sure?
Yeah, I mean, I leave that down to the front office. They ask my opinion, I give my opinion, and you know, and then hopefully we get some deals done. And you know, been happy so far with what deals we have done, and I think we're improving as a team. As you say, it takes a while for any club, but a club that's not even 3 years old yet to become the what everybody wants it to be. You have to grow. You have to try and become sustainable as well. As much as we appreciate Dave Tepper and Nicole as being the owners, they're not always going to be here. You know, so we want the club to thrive and grow, you know, and be successful, and none more so than Dave wants that to happen as well, and hopefully we can make it happen soon.
Thanks, Dean. Safe travels. Have a great match.
Cheers, Danny. Thank you, mate.
Thank you, guys.